And we are live on the Icecast Live. Welcome and hello, Ollie, my co-host. How you doing, mate?
I'm all right, thank you. How are you?
I am pretty good, actually. It's been a busy week, but that's okay.
And you've got a busy weekend, haven't you?
Yes, I have, mate. I'm off to Northwich this weekend,
Yes.
which is somewhere I've never been before. Are you familiar with Northwich?
I'm familiar with going through it. I've not actually ever been there, to be absolutely honest. It's a sign I see as I head up north on my frequent visits. But you've also got Friday night as well in Shrewsbury to look forward to.
Must not forget about that. Yeah, we're doing a drink and draw in Shrewsbury with Mike Perkins, our guest artist. For anyone who's not aware of Mike, who's watching the show, which I find very unlikely, he's currently the artist on Swamp Thing, and he's done some absolutely amazing work on just about every major character from DC, Marvel, Image. At the moment, it's Swamp Thing, but he did a great run on Captain America as well.
And a name check on the Hawkeye show as well, I noticed.
Oh, I haven't watched it yet.
Yeah. Well, Mike posted it on Facebook, as you would. So he's been name checked on one of the two episodes. So good on you, Mike.
Yeah, that's nice. It's always good when you see the artists getting a little credit in it, or the writers, getting some credit on the shows. I mean, and so they should, I mean, without those guys, it wouldn't happen. Simple as, so it's always good to see. But tonight, we're talking to an artist and a creator as well. She's done web comics as well as your traditional type of comics. Tess Fowler. You're a little bit familiar with Tess, I believe, Ollie?
Yeah. I loved her stuff on Kid Lobotomy when Black Crown was going, and sort of I've followed her stuff on and off. And I know she's been doing work with IDW and Dungeons and Dragons, and plenty of other side projects as well. I dare say we'll get into. There we go. There's Mike Perkins' name now.
Well done, Mike.
Enough about Mike. This isn't Mike's show. and because it's Thanksgiving, we've got to really, really thank Tess in advance for giving up her time. Does she know this is a 5-hour show?
I can see her in the studio going, what? Don't worry, Tess, he's winding you up. Oh, well, let's get on with this big cracking show then, mate, shall we? Can't wait to talk to Tess. Sam, roll that VT, please, mate. And welcome back to the Icecast Live, and welcome, Tess. Good evening.
How's it going? I love your intro music. Just like,
Well, that is actually from my band, Cosmic Rays.
Nice. So, very cool, man.
Tell her who's in the band, Shane. Tell her who's in the band.
Charlie Adlard. He's our drummer.
Shut up! Oh my God, that's so cool. Right on, man. When I come visit, I'm going to catch a show.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to be
really
in the
cool.
front row. I'm going to be in the front row.
In the mosh pit.
So how's it going?
Really good, thanks. Really good. And you?
Good. Hanging out, drawing, making art.
How's the Thanksgiving preparations going?
We don't do that. we don't do that here. No.
Well, I'm like that with Christmas. I don't really bother much with Christmas, you know. On Christmas Day, I go and see my family, and it's really nice. But all the other stuff, because now in this, I don't know what it's like over there in the States, but right now at Christmas, I just drove through my hometown, and there's Christmas lights on, and it's not even December.
Yeah. We were just out in Burbank, and everything's lit up. They're putting all the giant snowflakes out, and I'm like, wait, no,
too soon. Yeah, totally. I don't get. I mean, I do get it. It's trying to prolong that period of profit, isn't it? That they can just keep selling stuff. But I just by the time Christmas comes around, I've had enough of it.
Yeah, when we were in London, it was bananas because we hit Scotland in like roundabout Halloween time, and London was just lit up. There was so much Christmas stuff up, and it was like, wow, Christmas here must be really fun. Because I know there was the one department store that has the people who come down on the giant scarves, they were telling me, and I was like, but I'm from California. How do I survive the cold long enough to come out for that?
Yeah, so what's the temperature where you are now then?
Let's see, 72 degrees.
Wow.
It is. And if you see the shadows behind me out the door, that's the wind.
The ghost of Christmas present.
Yes. Yes. Called Santa Ana.
Wow.
You got some storms going on where you are now then. Because you were saying that you've had some trouble with your power going out. So
it's just the winds. We have something called Santa Ana winds here. And we get fires in the dry season. So then the Santa Ana winds come in and just spread the fires everywhere.
That's good.
We have a whole season here where it's just ash falling.
Wow.
Like it's not snow, it's ash. Yeah.
Crikey.
Looks like hell, but it's really like interesting in a weird way. You go out and like the car is covered in ash. It kind of looks like the apocalypse. It's kind of neat.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Pretty inspiring if you want to create a post-apocalyptic comic, I suppose.
Exactly. Los Angeles.
Any reference?
Like people really tend to loathe Los Angeles, but I love it because it's so inspiring. Like even just the way the billboards are constructed, one on top of the other. You look at the hills and the way the houses are stacked. There's so much character. And you have, the new stuff built on top of the old stuff. I mean, it's LA. It's not old the way you guys know old stuff, but it's old for us.
Yeah. And it has got a charm of its own, I think. And how many movies have used Los Angeles as their backdrop to great effect?
So many. Okay. My favorite, I'm sorry, I'm such a talker.
Go
my
on.
favorite is my favorite bookstore actually has a cameo in the movie Earth Girls Are Easy. When they're driving along, it's like off to the right. I'm so susceptible to that kind of stuff. I'm like, that's my bookstore. That's mine. I go there.
Wow.
It's so
what a blast from the past. I remember watching that movie when I was of an age where, it had an effect on me.
Same. Gina Davis. Oh my gosh. Like, I don't know how honest we can be here, but Gina Davis was like an awakening for me. I was like, still, that's like my comfort movie. If I get sick or something, that's what goes on.
It takes you back to those happy days.
Yes.
Oh, wow. I haven't watched it for years, actually. What about you, Ollie? Are you a fan of that movie?
I remember it vaguely. I'm a big fan of Gina Davis because I know she started off on sort of the modelling circuit when it wasn't cool to be a model that segued into acting.
Yes.
But she had so many great early roles that she certainly, The Fly, for God's sake, she certainly sort of set her stall out very quickly and proved herself to be a great actor. I loved her in... I'm going to forget it now. The net, it's just been cancelled. Glow, that's it. I remember it now. She plays the big cheese in Glow, and she still proves that she's a great actor.
I love Glow.
Yeah, such a shame. Such a shame that that got cancelled with still, a story to tell. I don't know how Netflix works it out because the same with Jupiter's Legacy. That seemed immense. It was number one all around the world for a week. And then suddenly, well, we're not going to make another one now. I don't understand how it works.
Yeah, they do that a lot. They cancel stuff mid-story, don't they? They don't seem to have any problem with it.
I heard it was COVID because I was watching a lot of Mark Maron's lives. And
yeah,
he was saying it was really difficult for that. Sorry, I just saw the comments pop up.
Thanks, John.
He was saying that they got shut down for so long that they just couldn't afford to keep it on hold anymore.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's such a shame. It's such
that is a shame.
I loved that how they extended what's a very short bit in the comic across the whole series and cut from future to past. It had, and again, great acting in it, sort of a lot of over the top stuff. Anything with a good Brit actor in it, as there was, is always going to be good. So it's such a shame they didn't get to tell the full story. I've not seen Super Crooks yet. I know that dropped on Netflix yesterday as an anime, so I'll probably watch that.
I haven't
probably
either.
getting off here tonight or over the weekend, but I still haven't watched what's the new one that's got all the monsters? Hellbound, which is meant to be even better than Squid Games. Hellbound, Tess. If you've not heard of it, it's very much, people are told, it's got a bit of a Ring vibe to it. People are told, this is when you're going to die for all the sins you've done in the earth. And these huge hulking monsters come from hell, Korean hell, whatever that may be, and drag them away. So I've only heard the briefest of trailers, but I'm saving that up for the weekend because it looks brilliant.
I love monsters.
There you go. You'll love it. Something to watch. If you're not doing Thanksgiving, something to start watching tonight. And you'll have to let me know via Twitter and Facebook what you think of it. Because I've not seen it yet. I've only heard good things about it.
Sam from his cupboard is saying, sounds a bit Death Note-ish. Would that be right, Ollie?
I'm not. I'd have to ask my daughter. She's the manga and anime fan. I don't do manga and anime. I do comics. That's enough for me. But Hellbound, I've heard great things about it. I saw a trailer a few months ago, and it's just right up my street.
Very cool. Good. I'm not really versed in anime or manga or anything like that, but my husband has always been a huge fan. So he recently introduced me to the old Cowboy Bebop series, which is so good. Like, because I'm a big B-movie martial arts fan.
Yeah. Who isn't?
And just the artistry, obviously the animation was a little off because it was back in the day, but it is so stylish and so romantic and so beautiful, and then so stylish with the fight scenes. I can't wait
charming.
to dig all
it
the
had
way
a lot of
through
charm. It's really charming. The old series, it's really good.
Yeah, totally.
So you're watching the anime first, then you're going to watch the live action, because I think that's got to be the way to do it, hasn't it? If you're not,
I'm a purist.
Because I've not seen it yet. Yeah.
It hasn't had good reviews. The reviews have been pretty negative, haven't they, of Cowboy Bebop?
A lot of the martial artists that I follow have criticized it because they say that it was the wrong kind of fighting, that it's very stilted. The punches don't follow through. There's no style to it. The way because I guess Spike was supposed to be patterned after Bruce Lee. It's what I've heard. And Bruce Lee was just all about style. He bled style.
The way he moved, everything flowed, didn't it? He never stood still. Yeah,
exactly. So I'm curious.
So do you have a big interest in martial arts then? Not just as an entertainment medium, but in the arts themselves?
Do you kick ass? Is that what he's asking?
I used to. I used to study Kung Fu Hustle. Oh, on. I haven't seen that.
That's a good one.
Thanks, Sam.
I used to study judo and jiu-jitsu when I was younger. I was real skinny and fit back then. Like before I had a comic book career. When I was
sitting at a drawing board all day.
When I was a $120 soaking wet, that was even before I drank. I was all sleek and shit, but no, not anymore. Yeah. I just like the movies.
You probably saved your knees, because my dad used to do judo when he was younger, and his knees are shot nowadays. So you've probably done yourself a service. This is the biggest lie. Where we're told in our 20s, be healthy, be healthy. Yeah. We go back to our doctors in our 40s, and it's like, it's just wear and tear, mate. Well,
you should stop doing all that exercise. It's true. Exercise is really bad for you, man.
Well, it's trouble for that, aren't I? Like, it's terrible because I wasn't really big on exercise when I was younger, but I was kind of built like a brick shit house. So it was crazy. Like, I couldn't run because the boobies were like out to here. I couldn't really do a whole lot of anything. So once I got into fighting, it worked. The punches and everything. There wasn't a whole lot of jumping up and down or running. But then I got into comics and I gained super crazy amounts of weight. It was terrible. And I wound up with cancer. Like, once I hit 38, I got diagnosed like 4 days after we went on lockdown here.
Oh, really?
That was when I got my diagnosis. Yes, I had COVID cancer. Right. Yeah,
Shit.
but then I had to go through multiple surgeries, had like full double mastectomy. I mean, the girls were like out to here. They were big. They were crazy big. And then I dropped like 70 pounds, cleaned up my life. So now I'm kind of like, maybe I should have been exercising. Should have been doing that Greg Capullo, workout routine. Man, that dude is jacked. Have you seen his gym?
Yeah.
I think he got Scott Snyder into it, didn't he, when they were working on Batman? Because Scott looks pretty ripped as well these days.
Scott's gym pictures are crazy. Like, dude, come back.
Oh dear, that must have been really tough, like getting a serious illness at that point as well.
Especially with the Americans, because I know you had to do a GoFundMe. Because we can't even begin to fathom the American healthcare system as it is.
Yeah.
And I'm also, I've been hustling for years. My husband and I are both freelancers. So, when COVID hit, it was impossible to make money anyway. But a buddy of mine, he was actually my writer on Dungeons and Dragons. He set up a GoFundMe, and that's actually how we survived. That's how we got groceries. That's how we got Ubers. Like, it was crazy.
Wow. Aren't comics fans just the best people sometimes?
Yes.
They really
are. My friend, she was diagnosed with breast cancer several months ago. And again, she's she's just started chemo. But even under COVID, we're hearing in Britain there's huge waiting lists. But with her, the NHS and all the services around her in the part of the world she lives in, it was all looked after. She's come through the other end. Like I said, she's just started chemo. I've not seen her for 2 weeks since she started chemo. But I just think, of people like you in America who have to find every single penny to cover. And even taxi services, you mentioned that. I'd heard somewhere it takes $2,000 just to have a baby in America, and it's nuts.
And that depends on where you have it too.
Right.
Really?
It can be way more than that. Yeah.
Really?
I get a girlfriend of mine.
State to state.
Yeah, a girlfriend of mine out here in Los Angeles paid like roughly around $6,000. Just everything totaled up at the end was about $6,000. Yeah.
You've really got to want to have kids, haven't you?
Yeah. I gotta have 2 jobs each.
Yeah. And how does it work in Burbank then? Because I always get the understanding, listening to a few podcasts like Bad Friends, that everything costs more over that part of America. Is that the same for the medical treatment you had to undergo?
For me, what ended up happening was I didn't have insurance. The whole freelance life. Yeah. I went to Planned Parenthood because I found the lump myself, and I went in and I said, I know what this is. This needs to be tested. And they tried to kick me out. They tried to tell me, you're only 38. You're not due for, you're only 38. You're not due for a mammogram for 2 more years. You're basically a hypochondriac. There's nothing wrong.
Man.
And I was like, listen, you need to, whipped off my shirt. I said, grab it. It's right here. And then she goes, oh, I'm so sorry. We need to go get you tested. And basically, you have to self-advocate. So they ended up, once they figured out what it was, I went through the biopsy and everything, which took weeks. And all those weeks, it's growing. Yeah. I had to continually advocate. And then I got onto insurance, but then insurance goes to try to kick you off.
Yeah.
Because
they know you're ill already.
They kicked me off for a week during chemo. And I had to get on the phone and save my own life, like, repeatedly. Yeah. So if you can't advocate, if you're not stubborn like me, you die.
You just, it's crazy, isn't it? And thank God you have that personality where you are, straight from day one, you were confident, you were willing to fight for yourself. How many people, just aren't like that? We'll just walk away and.
Or ignore it. A lot of people ignore it. I caught it very early.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Like, I was in the shower and I told you, like, the girls were big. I'm sorry for being graphic. They were big. So washing them up. I like
the way of putting it. That's good.
But so washing them up, it was like, oh no. So I called my husband and I'm like, you feel this? And he's like, oh, it's nothing. I'm like, no, this is something. So I'm Googling. I had to Google it myself because there was no doctors to call. So Googled it, checked out all the traits. My grandmother had it when I was like 14. My grandmother lost her left breast. And so I always knew somehow I was going to get it.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is it didn't even come from her side, you know, but I found it. I told them when I went in to meet with the surgeon, I said, we're taking him off. And he was like, no. Like, you'll lose your womanhood. I was like, I'll be a woman no matter what.
I'd rather be alive.
Yeah. That's the other thing here about the healthcare system here with women. They decide for you. They tried to tell me to get fake ones. And I was like, I have a genetic disorder. We found out through this whole process. I have a genetic disorder that leaves me high risk for like 5 kinds of cancer.
Oh my God.
So if I had gotten fake ones, fake boobies,
it's a risk.
It would have just kept coming back.
Yeah.
And are they pushing the fake boobs because it's more money for them?
Yeah, they make money out of that, don't they?
Like there's that, but mostly I guess they have a rule where they have to tell you to like keep your womanhood,
right?
Because what if your husband gets upset? What if you want to have more kids?
Really? So it's a patriarchal definition of womanhood.
God.
Yes. So I had to roll in, and I was like, "Listen, I'm not sad. The girls have been a headache my whole life. Take them. Free boob job. They took they gave me a hysterectomy. I'm on medication that put me into early menopause. Like I've had the works.
Early.
Yeah. I've had the works, but just roll with it.
Like, but now you're fighting fit. You're fighting fit now, and you're all clear. I presume it's in full remit. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I've been all clear since last September. And
wow, brilliant.
Yeah, I had I get monitored annually, and then for the next like 5 years, I get monthly checkups.
Yeah.
So,
it's the same over here in Britain. 5 years. Yeah.
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Basically, I'm gonna have to deal with this the rest of my life. I'm gonna have yearly tests. I have to get colonoscopies, thyroid tests, everything for the rest of my life. Like
this is because of your genetic disposition.
Yeah.
But at least you're aware of it, and you're on top of it, aren't you? You know, that's the thing.
So really, it's lucky. Like, I don't wish cancer on anyone, but in my situation, it ended up being a blessing. Like, the curse came with a silver lining. I've had so many good things happen. I got my body back. You know, it's a body I haven't had since I was like 9. I'm running, jumping. I have so much energy, living life clean. The only thing I miss is scotch, though. Man, I was never a drinker in my younger days. I didn't have, the party experimentation phase. But when I first hit Scotland, a buddy of mine bought me my first.
Whoa.
And I was like,
it's the best. It's the best whiskey in the world, man.
I was like, how have I lived without this? So I became a Scotch snob like overnight. Just you can't
single malt,
tell me nothing.
It's got to be the single malt.
Why aren't you allowed to drink it now? Then is it part of the medication you're having to take long term, or just
alcohol's a risky substance?
It's technically a carcinogen.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So I was like, no. And all the other survivors in the chemo room were like, girl, give it up. You can't have it.
Right.
Like, I can't have nothing fun anymore. I just literally had fish and chips. What was it, Chris? Like yesterday?
Yeah.
Just had fish and chips for the first time in like 2 years.
Oh, fish and chips. That's another great
fish and chips as well. Anyone watching from America is going to go, what? Chips? Crisps? Is he adding crisps?
See, I have had to educate folks. I was educating my family, talking about, what's what. And my poor mother was like, no. She's 74. She couldn't hang.
She's too old for that kind of shit.
So, as I said earlier on, Tess, we do talk about everything on this show.
Yeah, we really
not
do,
just
don't
comics. And we had
death and taxes.
But we should talk about comics, I guess.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. So let's get some artwork on the screen anyway, so that we put all this into context.
Yeah, Sam's been desperate to share some artwork.
Sam's an overnight fan of you now. He wasn't aware of your work before, but now he's been looking at your work. He's become a fan.
Calls himself a comic book fan.
I know. What's he like?
Well, see, I stay off the grid though. I'm the person who's notorious for like they would offer me a job and I'd be like, no, thank you, I'm good. Like, wait, hello, we're Marvel. Like, you don't turn us down. So I like it when people are like, oh, I've never heard of you. Like, oh, well, you've heard of me now.
Well,
it does not hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
So you made a decision early on then because you've done stuff for Marvel. You did a little bit of Doctor Strange, a bit of Wonder Woman, but you had a good run on Rat Queens with Image as well, which looked. I've been reading those comics since we got to know each other online. I thought, I'll check those out. It's really good stuff. Great art as well. And I was looking on your website, and there's some lovely black and white stuff from there.
Do I still have a website?
Yeah.
Do you know what? It's still up and running, and you are selling your original art pages for Kid Lobotomy at a knockdown price of $100.
Oh,
that's ridiculous. Yeah. Sorry, the shop. You need to put those prices up.
Definitely.
Okay. What you're looking at here, these are commissions. I have a large Dungeons and Dragons following, so these are like Dungeons and Dragons characters. That's from
this is pen with watercolors, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's nice.
I've just recently kind of let go of the inking a little bit. I'm doing more painterly type stuff, but yeah, that was a variant cover, I believe. Oh God, what book was that?
I love this
one. Of my own comics.
So is this from your stuff then? Your
that's a comic I've been working on for a little bit.
I love that image. I mean, that's what I use that image for the show, because it just stood out to me. It's so bold, I really love the colors.
That is the first piece I did, the first official finished piece I did when I was done with chemo.
Really?
When I had my brain back. Wow. Yeah, that was me trying to make comics again.
Was this a piece you wanted to do? You were desperate, because it sounds to me like this is a create-your-own thing. Is this something that was burning away at you? And do you feel fulfilled with having got that out there and out your system?
This fuck answer exactly. This one was more of a testing the waters. The one that I've been really hungry to do is my memoir. That's what I'm working on right now.
Wow.
It's basically about my cancer year, and it's about an abusive family background. So it's like intergenerational. I go into my mom's generation and how I came to exist. It's a very interesting, crazy story. And I go into my grandma's story because my grandmother had multiple husbands who just beat her. And she survived a lot. My grandma was the kind of person who would cook dog food into his casserole, and she was wicked. My grandma was legendary. She had her her bad side, but what I got from her was that survivorship, and my mom's not my favorite person, not great, bit of a narcissist, but my mother has an amazing origin story. Absolutely amazing. Fantastic.
Bitten by a radioactive spider. Oh no, that's really dumb.
Narcissists like to be the star in their own story as well. So.
They do. They do. She really doesn't want me to do this book though.
I'm sure.
Don't tell her. Don't tell her when it comes out. Don't tell her when you're putting the artwork online. Just don't tell her. Block her from Twitter.
Oh no!
I know a lot of people block their mothers, don't they? I've noticed that. It's a phenomenon. People blocking their mothers on Facebook and stuff.
Well, it's terrible. Long story short, my mother and I were estranged for a number of years. She came back while I had cancer, and now she's gone again. She's not very nice. But I mean, no sad. Don't be sad. It's good. It's healthy. I understand that about her. It's okay. But during the year and a half while I was going through cancer, I did get to hear a lot of the stories. I did get to, we went up to her hometown. I did tons of research, so it's okay. She is just not entirely comfortable with my origin story, because it doesn't really cast her in the greatest light. She cheated on a husband, went off with, this con man. but artistically speaking, it is such an interesting story.
I was going to say, there's a lot of material there for
an interesting comic. Cool. Yeah. It's so cool. So,
I mean, sorry, go on, Ollie.
I was going to say, is this something you're working on in the background now, then, Tess?
Yeah, that's my main project.
Is it quite cathartic?
So cathartic.
Yeah.
I've gone back and I'm dealing with because when I went through the cancer journey, I had to confront all my demons, all the stuff that was holding me back, which was my past. You know, my family, my origin story. So I'm going back, and in the process of talking about the cancer, I'm talking about how I met my husband. There it is. That's part of it. Yeah, I actually did that while I was going through chemo. And that was right before my mastectomy surgery. That's part of a whole mini comic where I was talking about I wasn't sad. I wasn't scared. And everyone was telling me I should be sad. I should be scared. And I was like, no, I'm going to be good. I'm going to get new clothes. I hope they don't find anything in my lymph nodes. I had a little fear about that. But the surgery itself, I was like, no, I'm going to have freedom. No more neck problems while I'm drawing. So
I love your positivity. It's really inspiring, Tess, I have to say.
Thank you.
That whole attitude, it's amazing.
That was a self-portrait just as my hair started to grow back, and I was going through some stuff after surviving all that. We had some issues with my in-laws. My husband is also the son of a narcissist, which it's been weird.
Well, you got something in common,
Yes. So we were just going through it. And that was the portrait I did right before chemo. That's what my hair looked like.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was my
image.
Hope.
That's a really bold image. I really like that.
Thanks. Yeah, finished that days before I went in.
And did you find then, having this ability to express, how you were feeling through these portraits and through your art, that was an invaluable sort of tool for you to cope?
It really was. And actually, I was afraid of it. While I was sick, I had almost a disconnect. But a comic book artist or comic book creator actually reached out, Fabio Moon. And he reached out, and we don't know each other. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah,
we don't know each other, but he reached out and he talked about how comics helped him in his health journey.
Right.
And I was like, you're so right. So I just dove in. I dove in, I let go of the fear, and so much has come out of it. So I owe him one. I seriously owe him one.
It's great, isn't it, when you get someone like that who's sort of been through what you're going through and has coped with it, and they can, the benefit of their experience is just invaluable sometimes, isn't it?
Totally.
We have got some comments building up, so I'm just going to read a few out.
Just so they're nice.
We wouldn't read them if they're not. No. We have all the power.
We leave the nasty ones out. So Andy Hayes says, hey guys, not an anime fan myself, but watched the first 2 episodes of the live action Cowboy Bebop, and it rocks. So there is a fan out there. There you go.
Very cool.
So it's mixed reviews. From John, striking artwork, very distinctive style.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
From Neil Patel. Hi, Tess.
Right, Neil.
Hi, Neil.
You know Neil?
Yeah.
He's a regular.
He probably got you to draw a Hulk, I imagine, because Neil loves his Hulks. I must admit, he's a big fan.
He does. He's a big Hulk fan. Yeah, but Neil's a regular commenter, and he comes to the ICE convention as well that we run. Neil's always there. He's such a lovely guy. Have you met Neil in person, Tess?
I don't think I have.
Oh, right.
I don't think I have. I tend to know a lot of people online. When I did come to the UK for shows, what's neat is I have a really good chunk of my fan base is there. So I got to meet a lot of folks, but
it must be a blur as well, though, Tess.
Yeah.
Seeing so many different people across, especially at Thought Bubble. It's 2 days. It's quite intense. It's full of comic book fans. So, yeah.
And I did MCM, too, at one point.
Oh, wow. Did you?
Which
That's
was
manic.
My table got swarmed, which is great, which is awesome. But I just and I'm always on at shows.
Yeah.
The switch goes on, and then my battery's completely drained by the end of the day, and I don't retain everything.
That feeling at the end of a show when you've put everything into it, and you're just completely drained, like physically, mentally, emotionally. It just takes it out of you, doesn't it? And then in the evening, someone will say, you're coming out for some beers or a meal, and all you really want to do is go back to the hotel and go to sleep.
And commissions. At the end of a show, I'm always up till 4 a.m. doing commissions and stuff. So, but now I miss it. Yeah. COVID and cancer robbed me. I'm ready to go back.
Yeah, I must admit, we talked about Thought Bubble on last week's show, Tess, and having been there, you could see from both sides of the table that the artists just love being there with their friends from all around the world, or even just from around Britain. And you could see there wasn't any exhaustion Friday, Saturday night. Everyone managed to pull on down for that extra bit of bump. I think the beer helped as well. So it was a definite festival atmosphere long before the festivities of Christmas and the holiday season kicked off.
Nice.
It was a great return to Comic Cons. So hopefully you'll get back to Comic Cons in Britain soon enough, and we can meet up with you in physical form.
That would be great.
I would love to. Chris and I are actually planning a trip back, and I'm hoping it'll coincide with, work stuff, so I can do some shows.
That'd be really cool. Well, if you happen to pop over on the 10th of September, we do have a convention that we run. So if you're thinking about visiting in September, let us know, and we'll invite you along.
I would love to. I would totally love to.
It'd be really good to meet you in person.
Plus, the flights are cheaper when all the schools go back in September as well.
Exactly. And I've got to get back to Scotland. Man, Scotland
just smell the scotch. Just smell it.
You can't drink it though, Tess. It's going to be painful for you to go there and smell all that amazing single malt whiskey, and you can't drink any of it. No,
it'll be okay, because Scotland literally is like the most magical place in the world for me. It's like better than Disneyland. I could live there. I would give up everything and I would live there.
Oh, it is a great part of the country. I've only been to Scotland a few times, but every time I've gone, I've had a fantastic time. The Scottish people are just great fun, and the place itself, it's beautiful. If you certain times of the year, you go around the locks and all that.
Yes.
I mean, I went around the distilleries, but you do get to see the locks as well. It's a double whammy, But it's a beautiful country. It really is. Yes.
I gotta go back. I've got to go back. We went through and visited the comic shops there. And,
I was going to say there's some good comic shops. There's some good conventions in Scotland, actually.
Yes.
There are some. The guys. There's a Glasgow convention. There's an Edinburgh convention. They're both really, really good. So,
I want to do all of them. I prefer those to the ones here. I would like to go. I've done San Diego plenty of times. Met my husband there. I'm good.
Do you have a favorite convention in the States that you do enjoy? No.
No.
I like that answer. No.
Thought Bubble's been my favorite.
Yeah, Thought Bubble's a great one.
It is a great con. The great thing about Thought Bubble is its focus. Well, the thing I like about it is its focus on indie creators. It really
and that's my speed.
Fantastic.
I worked mainstream for so long, and all I ever wanted to do was be indie. And I made the switch in January of 2020. I said, I'm out. I'm done. Not taking any more jobs. Don't call me. Doing my own comics. And then February, I found the lump. And in March, I got my diagnosis. Wow. So it was like, my husband and I started a collectibles company. We were so ready, and it just blew up, man. So
the timing,
indie's where it's at.
It is. I mean, I do a bit of publishing myself, and for me, I've always thought that, and as a reader, I've always really enjoyed. Don't get me wrong, as a kid, I grew up with, the Marvel stuff, especially. I loved all that stuff, and I still have a fondness for it, But once I became an adult, what I read, I really love all the indie stuff. Yeah. The creators with their own voices. And that's what inspired me to be a publisher. I wanted to publish my own stuff. I wanted to publish other people's stuff, which is what I do now. Yeah, and it's just great, isn't it? When you discover a creator with with a unique voice that speaks to you, it's from the heart. It's their creation. They're not just, there's nothing wrong with doing it for the bucks. I totally get that. That's totally cool. But for me, I find it a lot more fulfilling to read something that is direct, direct from the creator. There's something special about that.
I agree. Like small press at any convention, that's where you'll find me. Just oohing and awing. And it's so funny because a couple kids sometimes will catch my name tag. Like I'll flip it around, but they'll catch my name tag and go, really? You're here? I get either like an absolute love reaction or an absolute like avoidance reaction because they're afraid of me.
Or maybe just a bit too in awe of you. There are a lot of fans like that, I must admit.
Yeah.
I just that picture that's on there, that cursing unicorn or whatever, looks a little bit like our tech guy Sam. Sam, he looks a little bit like you, that unicorn.
Only in the face, not in any other part of the body.
See, there's a little likeness there, the little beard. I
can't see it myself, Sam.
I was going to make a comment about Father Ted, but
do you know Father Ted? Test is that a reference?
Yes.
Cool. Yes. You're one of the coolest Americans I know. Yeah. You know Father Ted. That's
getting my lovely horse vibes.
What was that?
My lovely horse.
Were you talking about My Little Pony?
No, My Lovely Horse from Father Ted. It's Eurovision Song Contest entry. My lovely horse.
Oh, yes.
Run through the field.
Yes.
I want to shower you with sugar lumps. Right. All right. Bye.
We don't want to lose.
See you, Sam. Back to your cupboard, please. Thank you very much.
All right. But have you seen Moon Boy?
Moon Boy? Yes. Yeah.
I love Moon Boy.
Yeah. It's Imaginary Friends. It's him back in school. It's a great comedy. I think they did about 2 or 3 series of it and brought out a book. Yeah.
Brilliant. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's really I can't believe I haven't seen that, Shane.
Have you watched the IT Crowd?
Yes.
I'm going to write that down.
Yes.
I mean, that's the combination of Moon Boy and Father Ted.
Yes, exactly.
Really?
Exactly.
I'm sold. I'm totally sold.
With Matt Berry, the world's best comedian. I mean,
see, I love Matt Berry. I love Matt Berry. He's a comedy genius as far as I'm concerned.
He's the absolute bright spot of that show.
Yeah. He's just got such an incredible voice as well.
Yeah, unlike Sam.
Stop me Matt Berry quotes all night.
Sam's profile picture on Facebook is Ray Purchase.
Well, Ray fucking Purchase.
Has Toast made it over to America, Tess?
Toast
of London. That was a show that we're referencing here.
No,
and it's
you haven't watched Toast.
Oh,
Toast
check
of
it
London.
out, Tess.
Oh my God.
There's one to check out. Moon Boy and Toast. Yeah.
Toast of London.
I bet you Toast of London must be on one of the cooler American channels.
Gotta be.
Toast of Hollywood at the moment. Matt Berry's in America.
Yes.
Filming Toast of Hollywood.
Is he really? Wow. So that's got to be an American-British co-production. So Tess is going to wake up tomorrow and go, I need to have some toast. Toast of London.
It's great.
What the hell is this reference?
Well, you've got What We Do in the Shadows, which is another Matt Berry thing. That's so good. There's if you want another British comedy to watch, Steph Let's Flats. That is amazing.
Wait, I'm writing it down.
They're not all going to be over in America, but certainly.
Some of the stuff won't be there.
Say that one again.
Steph Let's Flats.
Got it.
It's been about a letting agent who has not the best grasp of English, and he's also a very bad seller of renting out houses. So he's never rented out a flat in his life, but it is very funny. It's self-depreciating as well.
It's the classic British self-depreciating comedy.
Yeah.
Toast of London's the same.
He's such a lovely person. He's so positive and And you know, he wants the best for everyone, but he's a fucking idiot. That's the problem. That's the thing.
That's what makes it so great.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, can you hand me the book out of the bathroom? I want to show you guys.
Oh.
Ask if you guys have read this. The Ben Aronovich. This series is so good, and I've been wondering if anyone has read it.
Oh, I'm
got
intrigued.
it. It's the little one, right there. Yeah, top blue. Yeah.
She's asking a bunch of comic book people whether we read books. You're barking up the wrong tree.
This is so worth it, though. Okay, this series.
Whispers Underground. Oh,
I know the creator. Ben,
I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
He does comic book series through Titan Comics over here. Yeah.
It's this series. That's the comic book series.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
It's so good if you get a chance. And it's like it's in and around London. And what I love is he goes into the very specific tiny spots that you really would only know if you live there. But it's also hilarious. It's so funny. It's an occult investigator. So he was a really underachieving officer, and then he gets recruited into like the secret occult part because he has a knack for it. He actually there's a beheading, and he runs into a ghost who was the witness, and so that kind of drives him into it. There's like 8 or 9 books.
Wow.
So good though.
I do like it when you discover an author. I think we said this on another one. An author or an artist, and there's such a big canon of work that you can just dive into.
Yeah, and get stuck into it.
It goes back years and years. Yeah. I love that sort of thing.
Yeah, I introduced someone recently to the Criminal series from Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillip. They just didn't know about it, and I love introducing people to stuff like that because there's this massive back catalogue, and you just know they're going to have such pleasure getting into all that stuff.
Totally.
I'm almost jealous of them.
Now, is that picture there, Tess? One of your collectibles you were talking about.
I was just going to tell you. So I did a series. Right. I did a series of food dragons, just little baby dragons eating everything. Cool. I have like a fish and chips dragon, a tea dragon, a Scotch egg dragon. So my husband and I decided to make collectibles because I was addicted for a really long time to Scotch eggs. Could not live without them. We have a pub here in Hollywood, and they're not, as good as the original.
You can get Scotch eggs in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There's a pub called the Cat and the Fiddle, and they do like full English. They do all the basic fare. And they're really good. They're super good. But of course they have like the Hollywood options too of like the superfood salad with all the kale and all of that.
A white egg omelet's still a thing over in Hollywood.
The which one?
The white egg omelets where they take the yolk out and make an omelet just out of the white. That's still a thing.
That's all I can have.
Really? Oh my God. Is it any fun having an omelet just made out of the egg whites?
Weirdly, once you get yourself off of all of the sugar and the grease and all of that, it's actually pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I'll take your word for it. I'm not going to try.
Is egg yolk not a good thing for you then, Tess?
Well, basically the cancer I had was estrogen based. It was like 95% estrogen, but I also had something called HER2, which basically takes your tumor and just makes it grow like mad.
Oh shit.
So really if I have extra estrogen in me, that's why they're shutting down my ovaries.
Right.
If I have extra estrogen in me, it can be a risk. So I've cut everything out that I possibly can. Yeah.
This has been one of our more educational podcasts, hasn't it? Guys?
I still want to know about these collectibles.
Carry on.
So
someone has to stay focused.
So that dragon, my husband hired a 3D sculptor who sculpted that digitally, and then Chris printed it in pieces on one of his 3D printers. He has like an army of them. And then my husband painted it. So we pre-sold them just completely independently, pre-sold them, and he's in the process of making them right now.
Wow. So they're print to order, I take it.
Well, no, we did like a pre-order run, and then we're gonna do like an extra couple hundred, and then those are just gonna go up in the store, and they can sell as they like.
And how many varieties have you got?
Well, one at a time, guys. One at a time.
Yeah. Who said Sam was allowed to ask questions?
I know
he's stepping over the mark, Shane. I don't understand.
It's nice to see you, Sam. Been a while. So, Ollie, go with your question.
And then Sam can go after me. I'm just interested in how many you've actually got out there.
Oh, he's gone. Oh, sorry.
Sam's done that. You've done that.
My question was.
Oh.
Well, it wasn't a question. It was a comment. More like I like the way the face looks. But anyway, carry on, Ollie.
Thank you.
I thought we were going to have no swearing. Yeah, how many varieties have you got? And how many more are you going to do?
I have about a dozen designed right now.
Right.
We have roughly 100 planned.
Wow.
Yeah, and this was the very first one. The second one is being test printed as we speak. And then we're doing an actual graphic novel together.
Yes,
about the dragon.
Sense.
Yeah, so we took it kind of to the next level.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So we're having fun. My husband is so much fun. He's my absolute best friend. He's my favorite person in the world. So everybody who comes to ask for me to do work, I'm like, I got to measure you against, the best person I've ever met. Do I want to work with you when I've got him here at home? So,
Sweet, man.
He's sitting next to you now. Put him on camera. Is he sitting next to you now?
No. Chris, come here.
Yeah, we're hearing all about Chris. We want to say hello. We've got to say hello.
Come here. Yeah, come. He's setting up a Ninja Turtle display because he got me Ninja Turtles all throughout chemo and my whole journey. So he's actually setting up a whole Ninja Turtle display in the hallway for me.
Oh, there's only 4 of them, isn't there?
Oh no. There's movie turtles. There's cartoon turtles.
Yeah.
There's all the extras.
Guys. Yeah.
There's rock concert turtles.
Wow.
They had their own album. Have you heard that? I know it by heart. It's so good. I'm dead serious. Okay,
so you're a big Turtles fan then, Tess?
Since I was tiny. Yeah. There's pictures of me that I put up on like Twitter and Instagram and stuff. And it's me with like super long hair and these little boy t-shirts with Ninja Turtles eating pizza. I was obsessed. That's where I fell in love with martial arts. That's where I really truly fell in love with comics because I found out, from the cartoon, I backtracked, found out it was a comic. Kevin Eastman is actually who started my entire career. He invited me out to San Diego Comic-Con to work the Heavy Metal magazine booth. Oh, there he is. Come back. Wait. There he is.
Hey. Hey, Chris. Nice to meet you.
They said, hi, Chris. Nice to meet you. Can you hear them?
I can kind of hear them through your speaker.
Oh, okay.
We've heard a lot about you, Chris. All good.
Turtles.
He is honestly my everything. Like scans all my artwork. Scans all my artwork, is the most supportive husband, my absolute best friend. He's an artist, he's a sculptor, he makes custom toys. If you go on his account, BullyArt07 on Instagram, he does all this crazy weathering to Star Wars toys. Toys are his passion, like his first passion.
Wow. Yeah.
And if people don't remember the link, they can get the link off your Twitter account, I noticed anyway. So he is very easy to find.
Yeah, totally. And I take pictures of him all the time and draw him. He's my muse. Everyone recognizes him because I'm always posting pictures and he's pretty.
Now we know what to look for. We know what to look for.
Yep. What was that?
Sorry, Sam.
What was his Instagram handle again?
BullyArt07. That's
go.
his. Yeah.
Sam's going to put it up.
BullyArt07. Okay. Yeah.
You're going to put that up on the screen, Sam, are you?
Yep. Oh,
good, man.
While Sam's putting that up on the screen, I have got to ask you, how did the Patton Oswalt poster come about? Because I love a drawn poster. I was always a big fan of the Coop posters from the 90s, all the punk gigs.
Coop is so cool.
Yeah, isn't it?
Nicest dude ever.
Oh, and to me, this is kind of like a throwback to that. And I really loved it. It's a very simple. Again, you're selling those posters on your website and the original
Store
art.
Envy. Yep.
But it's a great gig to get. How did that come about?
Okay, so Patton has always been one of my favorites. It's like Pryor, Patton, and Mark Maron. Those are like my top three.
Yeah.
So, I followed him forever. And he married Meredith Salinger after he lost his wife. That this was his next marriage. And of course, Journey of Natty Gann. I mean, she was one of my first influences. I adore her. He talked about her on Twitter one day and told this whole story of her going out back of their house because somebody came in the yard and she had a little pink baseball bat that she went after him. And he just, the way he described her was so evocative. It was like 4 a.m. I couldn't sleep. So I painted the scene. I painted her and put it up online. And he had just told this whole story about how he had tried to hire other artists because he's a hugely passionate comic book fan. So he had hired other artists like masters, Bill Sienkiewicz and, other folks to try to do it. And she wasn't into it because there would be like too much blood or too aggressive, or she just wasn't feeling it. So why is my sound on? Calm down. Calm down.
It's Patton calling.
I know, right? He's like, stop talking. But no,
he's a big fan.
So like I posted it on Twitter, Instagram and stuff. And I tagged him in, and him and Meredith like loved it. Meredith said, that's it. She was like, that's it. That's accurate. That's how it looked. So they had DM'd me. We'd kind of talked about it a little bit. And I gave it to him. He told me like where his place was. He wanted to buy it, but it's Patton. It's like, dude, your work saved my life like 10 times. Like, let me just gift this to you. And then after that, met him very briefly. It was still COVID time, so we didn't hang out or anything. Just kind of passed it off. He said thank you with like his shirt over his face. And then he hit me up later to do, more of a small private project. So I did a little bit of work for him there. And then he made the offer. This is actually what he does because he's so passionate about comic book art and supporting artists that he will just call in artists, let them do it. He'll give them the information for whatever gig he's doing next, and then they keep all the money.
Cool.
So it's really just something he does to support the community.
That's
and
brilliant.
Yeah.
That is really cool.
Yeah,
he's great in AP Bio. We get that over here, AP Bio. I love it.
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, every time it drops on a series at a time, and I just can't help myself but watch them all. But he plays the principal. He's a bit of a loser because he plays those characters really well. Again, that's another one. You're going to end up just watching loads of television over the next few weeks.
Oh man. Oh, that's not mine.
No.
Oh no, that's Chris's Instagram. That's Chris's Instagram.
Ah, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not his one. That was just his Thanksgiving thing. Oh, that was his happy birthday message for me. Those two helmets, he's actually built. Oh, there's his custom figures. But those two helmets, that's when we were up north in my hometown, and he made those. He's building those costumes for us because we used to costume way back in the day. That's how I met him.
Right.
I was at the Heavy Metal Magazine booth. He was dressed up like Boba Fett. And I freaked out. Boba Fett, it was my first convention. So he came over and we took pictures, or I took pictures of him. I took pictures with him. Then he went down to the end of the booth with his friend and took off his helmet to like get a breather. And it was like love at first sight. I couldn't handle it. He was so amazing, just full of light. This is him customizing.
Wow,
stuff.
that's amazing.
Armor.
That's really good.
Does all the
I'm glad you're not married to him just because of the toys, I must admit. They're very cool, aren't they? Wow.
There you go. That's him weathering. That's his office snacks.
That's good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good.
He's just absolutely the best.
He's a Transformers fan as well. Cool.
He is. The nerdiest dude you will ever want to meet. And this is him talking about supplies and paints and stuff. He goes live sometimes just to talk about the process. And I love it. Like, the professional side of him is so much cooler than the professional side of me. I watch his lives and I'm like, oh my God, that's so informative.
But are you still producing your webcomic, Tess?
Nope.
No
webcomics. I tried it very briefly. That's how old my website is. I tried it very briefly, but I decided the kind of comics I really want to make are more bleeding on paper. So I've gone through this process throughout my career of attempting to find my independent voice, and then like another amazing job would come up, like working with Milligan. How do you say no to that? You can't say no to that.
No, that's so cool. Yeah. What a cool little boutique print that was. It's such a shame that it didn't last. But out of that came some really great series. I mean, looking through your art, especially the Kid Lobotomy stuff, you seem to be someone who not only enjoys creating characters, but the clothes. I mean, you seem to have very intricate clothes on, whether it's the Dungeons and Dragon characters. Now, I know Peter Milligan's a bit of an out there kind of dude. How much freedom do you have in creating the look of a lot of the characters in something like Kid Lobotomy?
He and I, like, Shelley was very much a buffer, and Shelley had a very specific idea of what she wanted the book vibe to be. Right. So what I would have done design-wise with Kid was completely different than what she wanted. You know, he looks like a young Mick Jagger. And she was very specific about it. And I didn't fully understand at the time where she was headed, because I wanted him to have like mohawk, tattoos, you know, that's more my speed, especially at that time. So she was like, no, just trust me. We're going for a vibe here. I was like, all right. But most everything else was mine. Peter had a couple ideas here and there, but mostly it was me. So I had full freedom. And that was probably my biggest education in comics, working with Milligan, because even when I wasn't speaking to him directly, the scripts and the way he writes like opened some kind of weird cosmic door in my brain.
Wow.
It was bizarre and so beautiful. And it was like, oh, there don't have to be rules. All this stuff that I was trained for, like, oh, you can only do this many panels. You can only have this kind of camera angle or this kind of character. Peter's like, no.
Out the window with that. No. Yeah. He's one of my favorite writers, actually, Peter Milligan. He's done some amazing work.
He became one of my favorites after working with him, because I was always more of an Alan Moore kind of kid. You know, Alan Moore was my religion for a really long time.
He cast a very long shadow, didn't he, Alan Moore?
Oh,
so people like Peter McGillen, not forgotten about over here in Britain, but I loved his Shade the Changing Man series for Vertigo. Yeah, so I always had an eye on Milligan, and he is a bonkers fella.
Yeah, and Shelley is such a huge Milligan fan, and what I love about Shelley is she has. Ooh.
This Deadline stuff, this Johnny Nemo is amazing stuff, absolutely brilliant.
And honestly, like
Steve Dillon,
just stepping into that world and starting to hear stories about Dylan, about, you know, and she's married to Philip Bond, who is just, oh my God, amazing. So getting to kind of step into that world that I was 10, 20 years born too late for was so cool. And it was just such a brilliant education for me. But of course, Shelley's just a tornado. You know.
Have you read the early Tank Girls?
Of course. They're like right behind me. And there's one of the collections, which Tank Girl collection is it? They have photos of the boys like in their old studio. And and I didn't see it until after I had finally met Philip. And going through it, I was like, that's you. He goes, oh yeah. And he was telling me all, me and Chris, all the stories about the Tank Girl days and
the crazy stories.
Oh,
I think
Deadline.
everyone who worked on Deadline has got a crazy story to tell about that whole era of British comics.
It was
and
legendary.
That picture,
late 80s, 90s, and that.
Yeah. That famous, black and white picture of all of them sitting there. I used to, while I was doing Kid Lobotomy, I kept putting it online going, I want to be this cool. So rad.
When I was like 15, 16, I went to the UCAC and that's when they were launching it. And I bought a copy of Deadline #1 off this scrawny kid. And he said, and I was like, I don't want to buy it. I'll sign it for you. And I've got like a signed Deadline #1 by Jamie Hewlett.
Wow.
Yeah, whatever happened to him?
Yeah. Yeah, it was mad. Absolutely mad.
It was a great time for British comics. Actually, there wasn't. I mean, it wasn't like it is now. I mean, now like indie comics, there's a real resurgence. Everywhere. Yeah. It's incredible. But the stuff that was around then, I mean, the quality of some of it. Deadline was sort of at the forefront, but there was a lot of really cool stuff bubbling under the surface,
But you could see that Shelley sort of like trying to get that vibe in Black Crown and in Kid Lobotomy, right down to the sort of like, I can see where you're coming from. I want Mick Jagger. I want a bit of a mod look to him. But you've also got, like I said, you had that freedom to create your own characters. Yep. It must be great working with collaborators. And it seems to me that you've been able to work with collaborators when you've been in the mainstream or with yourself now, where you've been able to have that artistic freedom.
Yes. And that was always what I wanted. That was always what I needed, because I'm kind of a loudmouth, kind of independent. So I didn't want to have to answer to a company. I was at the time, I mean, I've been around for a few years now, but at the time I was talking a lot about, women in comics and just how the game is rigged, and Black women in comics. And the way I would hear people talk about Black women in comics was like, you're horrible. Oh my gosh. So if you pulled some really nasty shit, I was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. Like, peace out.
Didn't compromise, basically. Uncompromising. You got to be like that, I think. And your experience personally, like when you entered the comic industry, did you find it difficult as a woman? Did you find a lot of gatekeepers? Yeah,
horrible. It was horrible. Like, and I know a lot of it was based on the way I looked at the time, and I know that's not my fault or anything like that. It's never the fault of the woman for how she looks. But when I came in, I was so passionate, and I looked like Gloria from Modern Family minus all the glam. I was just like a wicked free spirit, had the quintessential, appealing body, and I was so friendly. Just like, oh my God, you made this comic, and dudes would look at me and just go, fresh meat, come here. And of course, I had this old school, like, I'm in it for the art. I'm in it for the honor and integrity of the craft. And I knew more than so many of these men about the industry, about the veterans, about the greats. And that's what I wanted to talk about. And so they would pull me in, and it was extremely abusive. And it was like, really? You don't love my work? Really? That's it? Like, you can fuck anyone. But you got to come after me when I want to talk about this project you did or this project you did. And they were like, like, let's not talk about comics. Like, all right. So I encountered a lot of that. But what I didn't realize at the time was how long it had been going on. You have like Colleen Duran, who has a blog that she ran for years about what she went through. And because she got in when she was like 15, 16 years old. And she went through utter hell. People call me patient zero for calling out the industry. Colleen was doing it long before I was even, in itch in daddy's pants. Like, she was the OG. So all of these women have been attempting to penetrate that wall of men and be heard. I mean, my God, Trina Robbins, we've had so many. And even if you just look at, what Spike Trotman went through in her time in the industry and then going independent. There are so many stories. So when I came in, it was like, I don't want to work on Green Arrow bad enough to sell off humans. This is a human consequence. You're hurting real people. I don't give a shit. And saying that was somehow subversive, like rebellious. Really?
Well, it challenges. It's challenging to them, isn't it? You know, they're in a position of power, and you're threatening that power.
Which is so crazy, because I'm just some Northern California girl with a big mouth. Like, why should you be afraid of me?
Yeah, they see it as a threat, but there's no threat. You're just trying to. You're just like anybody else. You know, you love your comics. You want to talk about your comics, and you want to make comics. You know, and
exactly.
It's not that difficult to understand, is it?
No. Well, apparently for a lot of gentlemen, it really is.
I'm just glad if anyone wants to talk comics. I was that guy in school who I turned a lot of people onto comics, but that was in my last year of school. Then they all disappeared. But I mean, obviously not so experienced as you. Where do you think we are as a comic book industry now, where there are more voices out there like yours? There are more people who maybe are coming in with a better launch pad than maybe you did, and maybe Colleen did, and maybe other professionals had to go through. Where do you think we are now?
I have so many feelings about this. I was just talking about this like last night. Okay. So while it's bananas what COVID has done to this industry, like it's very much leveled the playing field. There's a lot of big dogs who just aren't that big anymore and can't get things published. So while that's a little frightening for a lot of people, I love it, because you've got kids like Zoe Thorogood, who came onto the scene and she was like, oh wait, no, I'm going to draw my own graphic novel in like 6 weeks. This kid is amazing. I love following her stuff. She gives me hope for the future. And now she's just done a series, or she's about to launch a series, written by Joe Hill, and the editor is Chris Ryle.
Chris.
My favorite person.
Good friends with Chris. Chris is a great guy. We love Chris.
He is. Okay, I'm gonna tell you, Chris Ryle is the most hardcore dude in comics. Like, when I was going through crazy amounts of harassment, Chris Ryle physically put himself in harm's way for me and another professional.
What a cool
Chris Ryle is
that's cool.
Absolutely like the OG. I can't say.
I'm not surprised by that, because I met Chris a couple of times and spent a little bit of time. He was a guest at one of my events, and we spent a little time chatting. And he just came across as the most genuine guy. He's such a good guy to talk to.
Like, to have Zoe, and I just told Chris this like yesterday, to have Zoe with Chris and with Joe, who wrote my absolute, like, one of my all-time favorite comics, Lock and Key, and then Joe had worked with the artist on Lock and Key, who's another one of my favorites.
Oh, he's amazing.
He is, like, I learned so much from him. And if you ever get to meet him, nicest man in comics.
I can imagine. He's so approachable on Twitter. He's just amazing. His Sword of Ages, which he did, like he wrote himself a remake of his sci-fi epic based on King Arthur. Absolutely stunning. I never complain when his comics are late, because they're just amazing.
It's quality. So the fact that someone like Zoe, can come in and work with someone like Joe and someone like Chris, she's going to look back on that for her whole career. She's going to have a good, I mean, unless something goes drastically wrong, of course, I don't know. I can't speak for her, but it made me so happy, because it was like, all right, yeah, I suffered. I was telling my husband, I was like, am I supposed to be jealous? Am I like, how am I supposed to feel about this? I was like, because I feel nothing but pure joy. Oh my God, Zoe's going to make it in a way that, none of us had the chance to. Like, that's so cool.
Well, the other cool thing is that because of, I mean, yeah, you guys, you went through hell basically with all that, but what you did, you blazed the way forward for these newer creators. So you could take some credit for that. I think, you could take some pride in it that these guys are now able to enjoy their careers because you guys stood up for yourselves.
I really hope that that's the case. I hope that the hits and the bullets that I took for so long, did help pave that way. Because then there's like Naomi on the Proctor Valley book, working with Grant. There's so many projects like that where these younger creators are getting to come out and try their hand working with the greats, kind of like I got to do with Milligan. Like, it's just so cool, and it makes me so hopeful. But on the flip side of that, there's this independent scene right now that is so potent and so awesome. Yeah. And I'm in this weird, middle spot where I just want to make comics that I'm passionate about. I just want to make comics that I love. I feel like I have a story to tell. And now that, if I do actually have an expiration date that's earlier than I first thought, I just want time to do that. That's that's my mission. If I can, I recently did a weird little high fantasy erotica book because I'm from the heavy metal days. I like boobies and dirty stuff in my work. So I just tried it. I picked up a notebook and I was like, I could do it. I'm good at drawing naked people. Let me try it. So I did it.
Why didn't you send any of these to me? That is now.
Because I didn't think you could show them.
I got pictures of Stranger Things and Ninja Turtles. You didn't tell me about this.
I can send you one right now. I don't know what
we can call it as an exclusive.
Yeah. He'll be keeping it to himself. You'll be keeping it to yourself, won't you, Sam?
Hang on.
Final.
Wait, I have the group chat right here. Hang on, I'm gonna send you one real quick. No, it's about a lady, a little short bearded dwarf lady, who rides a
someone
giant...
who looks like you, Sam, by the sound of things.
She's the same height as me, lanky boy.
But she rides a little blue pig, and she's a thief. It's kind of Dungeons and Dragons related.
This is getting seriously weird.
Well, it sounds like the surreal, like early heavy metal has that vibe. Doesn't it?
I love all that
goes
stuff.
As long as it's nude.
Okay, I'm gonna send you a nice one. That's not filthy.
One that we can show on screen and not get banned
I think
from
so.
YouTube. Yeah,
we'll see.
We'll blame you if we get banned, Tess.
Oh.
No, we'll blame you, Sam, for asking.
I'll send you a bunch, and then you can pick if anything's actually appropriate. Because there's some dirty stuff here. There's a few.
This isn't dirty.
Is this something that you're planning on publishing then, Tess?
I actually did self-publish it just through my online store. Cool. We're still waiting for the physical copies to come in, but the digital one is still available. Yeah. Cool. It's It's tame. To me, it's nice. But some people might find
everyone has their own level, don't they?
Comic book fans have got quite high thresholds.
No, there's two types of comic book. Like there's comic book fans. There's comic book fans like us who are like really open-minded, but you do get a certain like the more conservative comic book fans who like their comics a certain way, don't you? They have to be a certain format. They no sex, please. We're comic book fans. But
we're European-minded. We grew up with action. We grew up with sort of like heavy metal. There we go. That's a great piece of artwork.
Thanks.
That's awesome.
Heavy metal was probably my biggest influence growing up, because the comics just seemed like, no rules. And that's what I truly believed comics were. So even now when I collect, I go to the Iliad here in LA, and there's like this top shelf where they hide all the European erotica type stuff.
You're joking.
All the 70s and 80s hardcover.
You must go to a French comic book store That it's
Really?
a revelation.
Yeah, the French stuff is incredible.
It's literally,
everything's in arm's reach, isn't it?
All hardcovers, and it's all full on. It's amazing. I went to a French comic book shop last year.
Yeah, they had to kick him out.
It's amazing.
That's if you get a chance to go over to France, I don't know if you have. Have you been to France?
Not yet, but I'm planning to on the next trip over.
Yeah, or if you get a chance to go to the big festival there, it's just
I'm dying to.
It's incredible. You'd love it. I know you would. Knowing your taste, I think you'd love French comics.
I just love the fine pen art that you don't use a lot of thick lines, and it goes so well with the watercolor art over it. It just looks, and the color's great. You are drawn into the sort of pink flesh colors, but then you're also seeing the arse of the blue pig on the other side. So you have got those little bits of color that pop out of the green. I think it's brilliant.
It's really cool. Yeah.
This was my first test. So I'm going to do, this is going to be a series. Like in this book, she ends up getting kidnapped by mermaids and sacrificed to like a horny octopus lady. But later on, like the second book, there's going to be a character based on my husband just because he's my muse. And he's beautiful. But they get kidnapped by fairies.
Naked then, does he?
Oh no, I know him by heart.
Right, okay.
Right. It's overrun and I have to go. It's lovely to speak to you, Tess. I'll send you a load of links to some British comedy on Facebook.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that. So good to talk to you, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Bye.
Cheers, Sam.
Yes, and as he says, we've gone way over the hour.
Yeah,
because we've just been enjoying ourselves, haven't we?
Yeah, man.
This has been great. Thank you so much. This is really fun.
And thanks for your time. Whether you do Thanksgiving or not, I know it's a holiday over in America, and you don't get half as many as we do over in Britain. So totally appreciate it. That wind still looks quite ferocious in the background as well.
It is. I got to go take an allergy pill now.
Right. Let's get you off. You get your allergy pill, and then me and Shane, he can go to bed, and I can start watching Super Crooks on Netflix.
I'm going to watch Hawkeye, actually. I haven't watched Hawkeye yet, so that's probably what I'm going to
watch that monster one that you suggested.
Yeah, Hellbound.
Hellbound. We're going to watch Hellbound tonight.
Okay. So what's that on, Ollie? Is that on Netflix?
It's on Netflix, yeah.
Right. Cool.
I think it dropped last week, but because there's so much stuff like Red Notice and sort of Shang-Chi and all that, it's been missed.
Yeah,
but a lot of the British papers are talking about it because no one wants to miss out on this one, like Squid Games. So it's been in the Guardian because a lot of people talk about Squid Games a week later, and in internet world that's too late. So yeah, everyone's going on about how great it is. So I look forward to seeing what you think about it, Tess.
Last suggestion.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it, Dairy Girls.
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
It's great. Fantastic. Yeah.
My buddy Rory Phillips, who's one of my all-time favorite artists. If you haven't heard of him, he's fantastic. Rory's amazing. He did a variant cover for Kid Lobotomy.
Right.
He's just phenomenal. Probably one of my top 3 favorites. But he was saying, he goes, actually, that's very much what my childhood was like. He was like, that's the most accurate depiction I've ever seen. Wow. So I was like, right on. Okay, cool.
Very cool.
But anyway, thank you, gentlemen.
No, thank you, Tess. Thank you.
Fun.
What a great
absolute pleasure.
Lovely.
It really has. And hopefully we'll meet you in the future when you come over to the UK. It'd be great.
Yeah, not hopefully. I'm going to be there within the next year. So I'll let you guys know. We can hang.
Brilliant. Look forward to it.
All the best and happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Good night.